news. One of our rare, dear, friends and brothers in the mission, and it is a reminder for us of the nature of this mundane world, and what can come from our association with it. The material energy, it is trying to take us down, and many consequences can come as a result of that. Srila Gurudev, he mentioned once, wherever we are within our mundane position, the divine love of the transcendental world, it is always waiting for us. We experience, darkness in so many different forms within this world, but so many so many bright things, they are waiting for us. Srila Gurudev, he also commented, we are always between hopefulness and hopelessness. And hopefulness comes when we are aligning ourselves with the transcendental plane. And hopelessness comes when we are aligning ourselves with the mundane plane. So we are always, going between these two lines. And when we align ourselves with that lower energy, or as Sridhar Maharaj would say, the out-carrying current, that will only lead to misery, to suffering, to sadness, to degradation. But if we can manage to align ourselves with that in-carrying current, that current taking us to the center, to Krishna, to Vrindavan, then we will be full of hope. We will experience joy, optimism. So this is encouraging for us to remember that no matter what we are going through, we're always going through so many things in our minds. That plane, that perfect world is there. That perfect plane of dynamic and joyful pastimes. That eternal play. It is always going on. And it is just a question of whether we can attune ourselves with the current of that divine world. And we saw that with Srila Gurudev. He was always living in that world, no matter what we were going through, no matter what we're, what kind of mental world or physical world we're experiencing. Srila Gurudev was always bright and effulgent, in connection with that transcendental world. And today is the divine appearance day of Lord Balaram, and he is trying to give that. He is trying to extend the gift of that divine plane to us, and we see that in a very exaggerated way in his divine form as Lord Nityananda Prabhu. They are non-different. Nityananda Ram. They are one and the same, except that Nityananda Prabhu is coming with the added, the addition of merciful extension. And we are told he in a mad way, he is crying to the people, Bhaja Gauranga, Kaha Gauranga, Laha Gauranga Nam, Jai Jang Gauranga Bhaje, Se Hoy Amar Pran. Take the name of Gauranga, worship Gauranga, talk about Gauranga, and you will be my life and soul. He is, Nityananda Prabhu, Baladev, they are only thinking about their Lord, their whole existence is to satisfy the desire of Mahaprabhu, of Krishna. They have no other existence, and that role of the older brother. It is a very particular position, and a very sweet position to take, because this Vatsalya Ras is very particular, because it is affection, it is love to such a high degree that one is considering that Krishna is dependent upon them. That Krishna needs me. I know what Krishna needs better than he does. So I have to, I have to sort things out for him. I have to tell him how we're going to do things. And there are many examples of this. We were in Mexico. We were just going through Mahaprabhu's Sannyas Leela, and we see how Nityananda Prabhu, he asserts himself. He asserts, over Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu's own desire is to go to Vrindavan, but Nityananda Prabhu, he knows better, what is good for Mahaprabhu, and so he's adopting some, deviant means and taking him away. Mahaprabhu is trying to go to Vrindavan, but Nityananda is not allowing that to take place, and many cases like that, And we hear that when Balaram appears as Lakshman in Ram Leela, he's not so happy with that position, because normally he's the older brother, but in Ram Leela he's Lakshman, he's the younger brother. But as the younger brother, he's not able to express his service desire as freely as he would like, to ensure the full happiness of Ramachandra. So when when Ramachandra is banished to go to the forest for so many years, then Lakshman, he has to go along with it. He's in the junior position. So he's not very happy about that, and he expresses in one place that, he doesn't want to do that again, because if he was in the position of an older brother, then he could stop that, say, you're not doing this is crazy, we'll make another plan, we'll do something different. And so many beautiful pastimes with Baladeva. I was just reading in Loving Search for the Lost Servant, when Param Guru Maharaj is describing how Krishna and Balaram, they have these like wrestling fights, play fights, and Balaram and Krishna, they're usually on opposite sides. Balaram, he's the strongest. He's Bal is referring to strength. He's very powerful. He's very strong, and so Balaram is the most strong. And Krishna is usually on the opposite team, and then Sridham, who is the second strongest, he'll be on Krishna's side. So they'll be playing like this. But Krishna's, Balaram, he is more like muscle. Krishna's more, more clever. So Krishna's playing some tricks, to make sure that his side is winning. And then one day, Balaram, he just got really annoyed, and so he slapped Krishna. and then Krishna, he went and complained to Mother Jashoda. Balaram slapped me, and so the Mother Jashoda scolded, Balaram. And then Balaram, he was perplexed, and he went to Krishna and he said, I've done so much for you. You know how much I love you. And I just do one little thing, I give you one little slap, and then you go and complain, to Mother Jashoda. What is this? How can you do this? And Krishna, he was bewildered. This was Param Guru Maharaj's comment, how even Krishna himself, he is bewildered, in his exchanges with his devotees, and this is so charming, from a logical, or a rational perspective. This is all, bizarre. How do you accommodate this? That God has an older brother, and his older brother slaps him sometimes. But this is all, all of this is divine Leela. It is all increasing the the pastimes, is increasing the loving exchange. This is a Prakrita Leela of Sri Vrindavan Dham. Everything is opposing, in order to enhance the exchange of divine love and divine rasa. And Balaram, he has his club and his plow, his hall and mushala, and also some pastimes with those divine, instruments or weapons that he carries. The club, Gurudev said, he said it was mantra put, that it has some like special powers, some spiritual powers, that he can, he can do whatever he likes with that. It can perform different things for him. He told how Balaram's wife, Revati, she was much taller than him. I think he said Balaram was 14 feet and Revati was 21 feet tall. and so Balaram, with his club, he knocked her and brought her, so they were the same height. How Balaram's wife Revati, she was originally much taller than him. I think Gurudev said Balaram was 14 feet and Revati was 21 feet. And so with his club, Balaram knocks her down. And with his plow, we also hear different pastimes. Balaram is known for being a little erratic, can be a little angry sometimes. You don't want to get in his way, and so there are a few pastimes we hear when he used his plow, to express his anger. And there was one incident with the Kauravas when he became angry with them. Normally he's on very good terms with them, and in fact we hear that Duryodhana is his favorite disciple, and that also shows you the nature of Balaram. He's supporting the opposite party, which gives us hope. He's so merciful. But on this occasion they were holding Krishna's son Samba captive, and Baladev, he went there to try to have some peaceful negotiation to get Samba back. But they had some arrogance and they refused, and so then Balaram, he lost his composure, and so he took his plow and he started to drag Hastinapur into the Ganges. He was dragging it to take it into the Ganges, And then they understood, and they apologized. And also on another occasion, Balaram, because Balaram also has his own rasa leela. Some of the gopis, they are attracted to Krishna, some are attracted more to Balaram. And so Balaram has his own rasa leela. But it is mentioned, maybe in Srila Jiva Goswami's writings and the writings of our acharyas, that Balaram, he's cent per cent, he's offering everything to Krishna. He's doing it all on behalf of Krishna. It's not that he's having his own enjoyment, but he is taking everything and offering to Krishna. But anyhow, on one occasion he was having some rasa leela, and he wanted the Jamuna to come closer, and so he told her to come closer, but she didn't respond. And so Balaram, he was very upset, and so he went to take his plow, to forcibly, and then she realized she'd made a mistake, and he was intoxicated. He likes to drink the Varuni drink, like a honey wine or something, right? That. And Gurudev also, he told, as like an example of how, as we said, Krishna is known more for his like cleverness and very diplomatic, and Balaram, his nature is a little different, and Srila Gurudev told of one time when Krishna was having some, maybe this was in I think this must have been in Dwarka. Krishna was discussing with Uddhava and some other ministers about how to deal with a particular situation. I think it was how to kill Shishupal, right? I think it was Shishupal. Gurudev said Shishupal one time, and then on another occasion he said Jarasandha. So I'm not sure which it was.
It's Jarasandha.
It was Jarasandha. Okay.
Jarasandha was joined together.
Okay. And Jarasandha, he was insulting Krishna so many times.
Jarasandha fought battle with Krishna 17 times. Then the 18th time, I mean, it was getting a little repetitive. The 18th time, Krishna got a letter from Rukmini that she wanted.
Right.
She wanted him to kidnap her because she was supposed, by her brother Rukmi, she was supposed to marry Shishupal. So she wrote a letter to Krishna to kidnap her, and then Krishna left the battlefield while he was fighting with Jarasandha. And for that reason they called Krishna Ranjor. Ranjor means one who runs away from the battle. But it was on the 18th time. That should be taken into consideration. Jarasandha worshipped Vishnu, but he didn't accept Krishna.
So,
what you were saying about?
well, they were having some discussion about, because there was some boom of Lord Brahma also. There was something about Jarasandha's death that it was complicated. And they were having some discussion about how to get rid of him. And they're discussing all these fine points. And then Baladev, he came by and he was like, what's the problem? I'll just take my club and just knock him on the head. Like, problem solved. And then Uddhava, he gently, very humbly, tried to explain, oh, well, you see, it's a little complicated. Like that. So he has this, this type of nature.
He was supposed to be killed by Bhima?
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, he was supposed to be killed by Bhimsen. There was some prophecy like that or something like that, Yeah.
Krishna gave an indication. Because Jarasandha had been joined together in two parts. I don't know, remember some witch or something joined them together. And then when they're fighting, then Krishna took a blade of grass and he went like this, and divided it to give an indication. And I guess as Bhima was saying, he understood that, and then he grabbed one leg and then made a wish.
Oh my God.
Make a wish.
Any gruesome happenings. I have here the pranam mantra of Baladev, which Srila Gurudev liked so much. He loved this, and Gurudev mentioned how he couldn't find one. Like in Bhagavatam, there's something, but it's not so complete. And so Gurudev, he was looking, and this one, this is in Garga Samhita. Gurudev loved this verse so much. We can read that here. Spuradamala kiritam kinkini kankanarham chaladalaka kapolam kundala shri mukabjam, tuhina giri manogyam, nilame gambarajyam, hala mushala vishalam, kama palam samide. I praise the fulfiller of desires, Sri Balaram. He carries a grand plough and club. He wears a shining, spotless crown, tinkling bells and jeweled ornaments. His handsome lotus face is ornamented with earrings. Curling locks decorate his cheeks. His complexion resembles a beautiful snow-capped mountain and is adorned with garments the color of dark blue clouds. And this is brief, just read, this is a transcription of Gurudev talking about this verse. Balaram has a pranam mantram. Only in Garga Samhita have we found this very nice glorification of Balaram. Spurda mala kiritam. Baladev's crown is decorated with many jewels and looks very beautiful. When Baladev is first seen, the beauty of his crown is noticed first. He always wears many ornaments, and all of these ornaments are also decorated with jewels. Chaladalaka kapolam kundala shi mukabjam. His curling hair is very beautiful. It is not properly organized, and some of it covers part of his face. But he appears more beautiful because of that. Guru Maharaj called it agreeable negligence. Tuhina giri manogyam. His color is bright white like ice. Nilame gambarajam. He wears exalted peacock blue colored cloth. Hala mushala vishalam. His weapons are the plough and club. These two weapons are in his two hands. They are mantra put, empowered by spiritual energy. Baladev can destroy anything with them. If he simply touches his plough to something, fire or electricity can come out and destroy that thing. When he thinks his plough needs to be a little smaller, it becomes smaller. When he thinks it needs to be bigger, it becomes bigger. His plough can do anything he likes. And lastly, his name was Kamapal. He can fulfill all the desires of Krishna and all the desires of Krishna's devotees. And this, Baladev, he is, as it's saying here, he fulfills all the desires of Krishna. This is, his whole existence is for that. Even when Srila Gurudev, he told how, Baladev, he is born from the womb of Rohini, but actually he first appears in the womb of Devaki, and he was the seventh child in the womb of Devaki. And then, apparently it appeared she had like a miscarriage or something like that, But actually it's explained maybe by Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur that Baladev, by Yoga Maya's power, Baladev was transferred from the womb of Devaki to Rohini. They are co-wives of Vasudev, and but the reason for that is that Baladev, he always wants to make sure everything's really nice for Krishna. He always wants to make sure everything's really nice for Krishna, and so even from the very beginning, he in the womb, he set it up nicely to prepare for Krishna's appearance, and then he appears, and then he's transferred, and he appears in the womb of Rohini.
I'm not sure, but I believe that Rohini was living out.
She was in Vrindavan at that time.
She was in Vrindavan.
She was in Nanda Maharaj's house. Because Nanda and Vasudev, maybe they're brothers or they're related. So, to such an extent. And Baladev, he also expands himself into so many different forms to serve his Lord. He's we're told the Simhasan, the throne, that is a form of Baladev, the thread, of Mahaprabhu, his sandals, the mridanga, in so many different forms. He has expanded himself in order to serve. As he is also Ananta Shesh, and in Chaitanya Charitamrita, one meaning that is given, the word Shesh means like the end, right? The limit, and it's explained, I think, in Chaitanya Charitamrita that the reason for that is that he has reached like the limit of service to Krishna. He's reached the zenith point. He is so completely giving himself in service. And Baladev, Nityananda Prabhu, they are also the Adi Guru, the original Guru, and by the grace of Nityananda, by the grace of Baladev, we can have some connection, we can have entrance to that plane. As we were just singing, and Nitai Parakamala, Heno Nitai Bine Bai Radha Krishna Paite Na. Without the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu, there's no question, there's no way, you can have any entrance to the service of Shri Radha and Krishna. And we see this in Chaitanya Charitamrita. This point is made, several times in the case of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. His brother has he worships Mahaprabhu, but he doesn't respect Nityananda Prabhu. And Krishnadas Kaviraj, of course, he is very upset about this, and he tells his brother, that this is, he uses this analogy, this logic, Arja Kukuti Nyai, the logic of half a hen. This is like a Bengali Bengali expression.
Keep hens.
Huh?
Bengalis keep hens.
Yeah. Maybe modern, Western culture doesn't work so well. But that a farmer, he may keep some chickens, and see that he's has to spend so much money feeding this hen, his time and energy taking care of this hen and feeding this hen to get some eggs. And so a foolish farmer, he'll say, well, I should just cut the hen in half, and I'll throw away the part that I have to feed, and I'll keep the part that gives the eggs. Jai Shri Guru Gauranga Sundar Ji Ki Jai.
Very logical.
So in other words, there is no Mahaprabhu without Nityananda Prabhu. They go together. And he says also that, better you were just an atheist, rather than just believe in one and not the other. Better you don't believe in either of them. So the point is made very strong. And in that chapter, Srila Kaviraj Goswami, he very wonderfully describes how he receives the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu. There's a description there of the divine form of Nityananda Prabhu, which Srila Gurudev liked very, very much. That night after Kaviraj Goswami had chastised his brother, then Nityananda was pleased with him, and he appeared in his dream, and this very beautiful, beautiful form, Nityananda Prabhu, in an intoxicated mood. He's swaying back and forth. There's bumblebees surrounding him. He's wearing these beautiful silken clothes and jewels and turban, and very wonderfully described. It compares his teeth to pomegranate seeds, which is so because he chews this pan, and normally people who chew pan, it looks very disgusting. But when Nityananda chews pan, it looks very beautiful. It's a type of tobacco, and it stains your teeth red. So we see in India when we go, looks horrible. But with Baladev, with Nityananda, it's very beautiful. And so the pomegranate analogy is just so perfect, because if you look at the pomegranate seed, you can see the white underneath and then the translucent red flesh, covering it. So his teeth are like that.
Pond betel that's been...
I think it's the same thing, but I'm not an expert.
Betel nut. It's betel nut, and then they chop it up and mix it with spices, and then they wrap it in a pond leaf,
Okay.
and they chew it, and then they're spitting.
Oh, it's the betel nut that is red.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think so. They do so.
Okay. So this.
Hard to tell they spit red everywhere.
So you see signs everywhere. Do not spit on the wall. Like you have to do that.
Doesn't help.
Doesn't work. So this very beautiful form of Nityananda, and he's surrounded by cowherd boys also. And Nityananda Prabhu tells him, Ade Ade Krishna Das Nakaro ho boy Vrindavana Jaha Taha Sarva Labhya hoy, that, oh Krishna Das, do not be afraid, go to Vrindavan, there you will get everything. And then Srila Kaviraj Goswami gives very wonderful glorification of Nityananda. First he's expressing how I've got everything, I've got Vrindavan Dham, by the grace of Nityananda Prabhu, I've got everything. I have received Vrindavan Dham, I have connection with Rup, Sanatam, Shri Radha, Govinda, all of these things I have received by the grace of Nityananda Prabhu. And then he goes on to express, it is not because of my own quality, and very heart-rending expressions are there, that I am lower than a worm and stool, I'm more sinful than Jagai and Madai, and like this. It's very painful actually to read that, And then he says, so how is it possible that someone like me got this? Is only because Nityananda is so merciful. He is so extremely merciful. Preme Mata Nityananda Kripa Avatar Uttam Adam Kichu Na Kore Vichar. That Nityananda, he is so intoxicated. Like we hear Baladev, he's intoxicated with Varuni. So Nityananda, he's intoxicated with divine mercy. He's intoxicated with divine love. And in that mood, he's not, he's intoxicated. So he's not able to discriminate, what's right, what's wrong, who's good, who's bad. Uttama Adam, who's high, who's low, na kore vichar. He's not analyzing that, But simply, who he sees, he's giving his mercy. He's giving his mercy. He's Kripa Avatar. He is the embodiment of divine mercy. It is only because of him, his causeless mercy, that someone like me could have connection, with these, these highest things. And then also we hear in the case of Raghunath Das Goswami, it is only when he receives the special mercy of Nityananda Prabhu that he is able to fulfill his cherished desire to stay in the association of Mahaprabhu. So we see the indispensable necessity of the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu and Sri Baladev. And we also hear, Bal means strength, so Baladev, he can give some strength to us, in our spiritual lives. So we pray for his grace on this day. We can serve our Gurudev. We may, receive the mercy of Mahaprabhu. We also hear in Golden Volcano, Param Guru Maharaj tells that occasion when Mother Shachi has a dream, and where Krishna and Balaram, they're seated on thrones, And Nityananda Prabhu gets into a fight with Baladev, and he's saying like, now it's the time for my Gauranga. You have to get off your throne. And your time's over. And so they have some, wrestling, and finally Nityananda is successful, and he pulls him down. Yeah. Well, I think that's all I have to say.
So it's also interesting that that dream that you mentioned about Nityananda, that Krishnadas Kaviraj had about Nityananda Prabhu when he was told to go to Vrindavan, and Nityananda appears there, and he's surrounded by his servitors who are appearing as cowherd boys. And it was preceded by when Meenaketan Ramdas came to the house of Krishnadas Kaviraj, and he has this playful mood, and these people are offering dandavats, and he's climbing on their shoulders and things like that, and he has a flute with him. And when you hear about Nityananda Prabhu, and sometimes they'll read where it describes the different followers as personalities in the Gaur Ganadesh Dipika, that who they are in the Krishna Leela, and many of them there's what's called the Dwadasha Gopas, who are the 12 principal associates of Balaram, and they incarnate as different servitors of Nityananda Prabhu. So I've found that interesting, that in the dream, after it seems that when that Meenaketan Ramdas was there, it kind of precipitated things, because the priest in the house of Krishnadas Kaviraj, I guess it's he and his brother, and the priest is Gunarnava Mishra, and he doesn't offer respect to Meenaketan Ramdas. And then Meenaketan Ramdas says, oh, here we have another Romaharshana Sutta, which I mentioned in the morning. Romaharshana Sutta was a priest at Naimisharanya, and when Krishna was taking the side of the Pandavas, then Baladev, he wasn't going to fight against Krishna. He wasn't going to take the side of the Kauravas, so he decided instead to go on pilgrimage. And he went first to Naimisharanya, and in Naimisharanya, the priest, Romaharshana Sutta, didn't show him proper respect, so he killed that priest, but he killed him with a blade of grass. And then everyone there was telling that, now you've introduced this element into our sacrifice, now you have to do some recompense, and they wanted him to kill one demon named Balvala, I think his name is, who would spoil their sacrifices by passing stew and urine on the sacrifice. So Baladev pulled him down from the air. He would fly around that demon and pulled him down with his plow and killed him. So another thing I was thinking, that Guru Maharaj makes this comment. He says in devotion there are three things that are a little difficult to understand. And he says they are like, he uses the term that they're a hard nut to crack. And he says these three things are Kanak, Kamini, and pratishta. And kanak is to be intoxicated by wealth. And Guru Maharaj remarks, this is the first thing to understand, that all wealth, all money is meant for Narayan. Narayan is the husband of the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, and all wealth is meant for him. And then he says the next thing is to understand that kamini, that enjoyment, especially enjoyment of man and wife, or man and woman, that enjoyment is meant for Krishna. Krishna is the supreme enjoyer. Krishna is very good at enjoyment and enjoying. So he says that all kamini is meant for Krishna. Actually, it was Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur who was explaining these things. Guru Maharaj talks about Saraswati Thakur's comments. And then one of the grihastas that was present at the time, he heard that all kamini is meant for Krishna. And he said, well, we have our wives, so what is our position? And then Srila Saraswati Thakur answered, you have no position at all. That was it. And then he says, all pratishta is meant for Gurudev. And he says, then Guru Maharaj comments, that may be going up to Baladev or to Nityananda. And he says that's up to Vatsalya Ras. So all pratishta is meant to be, everything is meant to be glorification of Gurudev. And Guru Maharaj explains that Gurudev is, and that he says that we are all like retailers. And the retailers have a small stock, but they get their goods from the wholesaler, who has the big warehouse. And we've seen that just recently. I came back from Mexico, so then I knew I was coming here. So I went collecting from the Indians. In fact, the day I got back, I went straight from the airport to the Indians. And some of those Indians, they have huge warehouses. You walk into their, sometimes they have the front of the store, and then the side of the store is just bags and bags, 50-pound bags of grains and different things, and so many different kinds. So they have you can see the warehouse, and sometimes they even have a separate warehouse where they keep things. So Guru Maharaj says that we are like the retailers. We have, some stock, and we set up shop, and we're doing business. You can see, like, if you think of like the Namahata, the marketplace of the holy name, we're distributing something of the holy name, and we're distributing something of preaching and talking like that. But we're getting all our supply from Gurudev, who's really the wholesaler. And so he says all pratishta is meant for Gurudev and ultimately Nityananda or Balaram. And then he says up to Vatsalya Ras. But then if we consider Madhura Ras, then everything is meant for the glorification of Gurudev. But then we can say that Madhura Ras, that Srimati Radharani, she is the Guru when we consider Madhura Ras. So then that some idea of that is given when Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he says, Sakshada Ritina Samasta Shastri Rupta Shitata Byateva Sadbi. He says that, I'm seeing Gurudev as Sakshad Hari. Sakshad Hari is as the Lord himself, or we could say like that. Sakshad Hari, up to Vatsalya Ras, we'll see that is Baladev or Nityananda Prabhu. And then Vishakha Chakravarti says, Kintu praborya priyeva tasya bande goroshi charananavindam. Like kintu, but Kintu praborya priya evatasya, but even another vision of Gurudev is that Gurudev is Kintu Prabhu Priya, Kintu Praborya Priya evatasya, or sometimes it says Ma Prabhu Priya, but that all refers to Radharani. Kintu Praborya Priya evatasya. That I will see Gurudev as Sakshat Hari, but then another more complete vision will see Gurudev as Srimati Radharani, and Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur comments that when he says that when I look close, he talks how when I look closely then I'll see Guna Manjari, and that is Gaur Kishore. Is Guna Manjari, but when I look with my head in a more broad way, then I will see Srimati Radharani herself present there as the Ashtanayika, the complete heroine, and that is Srimati Radharani. But anyway, that along with that, all pratistas meant for Gurudev. Then there's, of course, different visions of Gurudev, Sakshat Hari. Guru Maharaj says, up to Vatsalya Ras, then Nityananda or Baladev. And I had some little when I was experienced, you could say, there was one time I went to Srila Prabhupada, and then I told him, many of the sannyasis are worshipping deities. Somebody had deities of Nrsingadev, and somebody had deities of Gaurnitai, and what should I do? Because I was actually, in the back of my mind, I really didn't want to be involved with deity worship, but then I was thinking, was this something that I should consider? So I asked Prabhupada about it, and then Prabhupada said, you're a sannyasi, you don't need to worship deities, he said. But if you like, you can take with you a picture of Nityananda Prabhu or a Panchatattva, he told me. Of course, Nityananda's in Panchatattva also. So, and then we see that he made the Krishna Balaram Mandir in Brahman Reti for also showing that Krishna Balaram, they've come as Gauranga Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu. So there's one altar that's you could say Gaurnitai. There's one altar of Krishna Balaram, and then there's one altar of Radha Shyam Sundar. So showing, and we're told that to show that in this age, Krishna and Balaram, they're present as Gauranga Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu. And so we see some inclination there. And then, and Guru Maharaj, he was saying, he's always saying, Dayal Nitai, Dayal Nitai, Dayal Nitai. And some of his disciples also say that a lot too. Dayal Nitai. Or they go, Gauranga Gauranga. Madhusudana Maharaj, he more says, Govinda, Govinda, Govinda. But anyway, and the pastimes with Balaram, so many attractive and very wonderful pastimes that we've heard with Balaram and his very sporting nature, fighting with the gorilla, Dvavida gorilla, that Balaram's with some of some of the ladies, some of the gopis, and that one gorilla comes there, and he's showing himself to the girls and, exposing himself. And then Balaram ignores him, but then the gorilla becomes more and more obnoxious, and he throws rocks and big boulders at Balaram, and Balaram, I guess, I don't know if it's a precursor to cricket or baseball, but he grabs a tree and peels off all the branches and uses it as it's like a club, you might say, and he breaks all the boulders into pieces with the trees, and then he would grab another boulder, and then he'd grab another tree, and in this way they said the whole forest became treeless or something. Baladev playing that till finally, what was it the gorilla did? He did something that really angered Balaram. I think he tried to snatch his clothes or something, I don't know. But then Balaram, what did you say? Someone said. And they killed him. And then on another occasion, the cowherd boys wanted to eat the palm fruits that were growing in one of the forests. I think in Taliban. And that forest was guarded by one demon named Dhanukasura and his friends. They were all in the form of asses. But they're different colored asses. They're not all the same color. They're not just gray asses. They're apparently multicolored asses. And first Dhanukasura comes, and when the cowherd boys push Balaram because they say, we really want to taste those palm fruits, so, can't you can smell them from here, just let us go get them. So Balaram goes in there, and along with Krishna, and then Dhanukasura comes and attacks Baladev and starts kicking him with his hind legs. So then Baladev grabs him by the hind legs and twirls him around and throws him up on top of one of the tall palm trees. And then Dhanukasura's friends, they all attack, and Krishna and Balaram, they also kill the ass demons by twirling them around and throwing them on the top of trees. So they look like different colored clouds on top of the trees. And I heard Srila Govinda Maharaj, he considers that they make sweets out of that palm fruit. And Govinda Maharaj commented that apparently that's a little hard to digest, because he said only Baladev could really digest that palm fruit because sometimes they would sell it or serve it to us. He said that only Baladev could digest that palm fruit. Govinda Maharaj was making a joke about that and how Baladev killed that. And also many pastimes, but the one also where that one demon, who was it? Trinavarta? Was it Trinavarta who came and disguised himself as a cowherd? Oh, is that problem? Okay, yeah, Trinavarta was the whirlwind demon, and Pralambasura was the one who disguised himself as a cowherd boy, and then they had the fighting between Krishna's side and Balaram's side, and Balaram's side won. So then all the different members of Balaram's side had to, all the members of Krishna's side, they had to carry a cowherd boy on their back. Kind of, the description sounds like horses, like you see sometimes that people, you know, when kids are playing, and one kid will get on the back of the other and has to hold him and puts his legs through and rides him like a horse. Giddy up, horsey, you know. So the members of Krishna's side lost, so they have to carry a member of the other side around as like a horse, carry him around on their back. And Pralambasura, apparently he was on, he was a member of Krishna's side, so then he was carrying, Pralambasura was carrying Balaram on his back. But that Pralambasura found Balaram to be very heavy because it's, you know, he found him to be very heavy. And so then Pralambasura, because he was finding Balaram to be heavy, he expanded himself to his natural size. And then, I know in the Krishna book, Balaram is like a little puzzled when this demon's expanding himself so big and above the clouds. The demon's expanding himself above the clouds, and then there's a remark that Balaram is thinking, how is it that this carrier is changing in so many ways? He's like getting enormously big, so big that he's taller than the clouds. And then he's trying to carry Balaram off so that he can kill him. So then finally Balaram takes his fist and smashes this, I think the demon's brow or something like that. And then the demon falls to the ground, dead. And all the other cowherd boys come around and say to Balaram, well done, well done. Like that. There's many of the pastimes with Krishna and Balaram. And we always see that one famous quote of when Krishna and Balaram are entering into the forest. And very beautiful how Krishna says all these, everyone, all these animals and all these plants, they've all come to worship you, my brother, and they're all glorifying you, and the trees are bending over, bowing down, laden with fruit to offer to you, and the birds are singing your glories and everything. And Krishna talks to glorifies Balaram like, you know, one would glorify his guru, you might say. It's like a very beautiful glorification of Balaram when Krishna and Balaram enter into the forest. So that relation exists, and it says that sometimes that Balaram assumes so many different roles. Sometimes he's Krishna's servant, sometimes he's Krishna's friend, and then sometimes he's Krishna's guardian or well-wisher. He has all these different relationships with Krishna, and sometimes you know, sometimes he may massage the legs of Krishna. Then I noticed when I was reading Chaitanya Bhagavat, we were reading that in class, and it's very much slanted towards glorification of Nityananda Prabhu, and in the process, glorification of Balaram. There's a lot of that. And very, very, very beautifully stated. But one time, one person, I think it's Srivas Thakur, but I could be wrong. But Srivas Thakur comes in and he offers his obeisances first to Krishna, and then he offers his obeisances to, well, he offers his obeisances first to Mahaprabhu, and then he offers his obeisances to Nityananda Prabhu. And then, I don't know who it is that tells him what, this is not being done correctly. This is not being done correctly, and tonight you'll find out why. So then that night, he has a dream, and he sees that Mahaprabhu is Krishna, and Nityananda Prabhu is Balaram, and Balaram being the elder brother. Elder brother, the correct way will be to first offer obeisances to Nityananda Prabhu, and then to Mahaprabhu. So then the next time he comes there and he offers obeisances first to Nityananda Prabhu, then to Mahaprabhu, and then it was like, okay, so you learned. You understood what was that relationship. And it's very, very, very pleasing. And we hear in the Chaitanya Charitamrita so much of the pastimes between Nityananda Prabhu and Advaita Acharya.
Yes.
So, and there's many instances in the Chaitanya Charitamrita where they begin, arguing and Advaita Acharya will say, well, nobody knows your background, nobody knows what division of society you come from, what is your caste, what is your background. You're a very, very unknown person, and there's no harm for Mahaprabhu. He's a sannyasi. Sannyasis can eat with anyone, but Advaita Acharya says, but we're not sannyasis, and we're not prescribed to just eat with anyone without knowing anything about them and their dubious background and everything like that. And they get into arguments, and then Nityananda Prabhu will say to Advaita Acharya, you're a smarta Brahmin and impersonalist tendencies. But if you serve 100 sannyasis or something like that, then you can be relieved from the results, the reactions of your wrong consciousness. And then Nityananda Prabhu throws some prasadam, and it sticks to Advaita Acharya, and Advaita Acharya begins dancing. But Advaita Acharya says, no, he says, it is a sannyasi who was ruined my, I don't know, he talks about Nityananda in this way. They're always kind of fighting with words back and forth. So in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, that's also described. And so, as I was saying, that one thing I found very kind of surprising is when Nityananda Prabhu goes out and he's interested in converting, bringing as the first persons to the Sankirtan movement. He wants Jagai and Madai to come, and then they give a report, and I think, was it someone, I know Haridas Thakur ran away and everything, but then they also received reports somebody else was saying, and they're saying that I just barely escaped with my life after meeting up with this Jagai and Madai, then Advaitacharya becomes very strong, and he says, you just see what is this Nityananda, what is he up to? What is he doing? And he associates with all kinds of dubious persons, and he will not be satisfied until he brings this Jagai and Madai, and they're here with us, dancing with us. And that's the only thing that this madman will be satisfied with, is to bring Jagai and Madai, and they'll be dancing with us. And what will happen? We don't know. And he's very, very animated. Advaita Acharya is animated. In fact, I don't know how this is, but it says in the Chaitanya Bhagavat one time, Advaita Acharya is very animated and talking like this. And the fact is that while he's talking, he's not wearing any clothes. So apparently, Advaita Acharya, he has this really rivalry with Nityananda Prabhu, and they also often get into these, they're in Chaitanya Bhagavat too, also many conversations, and Advaita Acharya just becomes very heated about Nityananda Prabhu and his activities, what's he up to, and everything like that. So, anyway, and there's that chapter about Nityananda Prabhu that's in the Golden Volcano that's called Friend of the Fallen. That's a very nice chapter description of Nityananda Prabhu. And mentioned something about how Prabhupada told me to have that picture of Nityananda Prabhu, but we also see that Guru Maharaj appeared on the day of Virachandra Gosai. And Virachandra Gosai is the most prominent of Nityananda Prabhu's sons. And in fact, when you go to Ekachakra, which is the appearance place of Nityananda Prabhu, it's called Virachandrapur. That's the name of the town there, Virachandrapur. They don't call it Ekachakra, they call it Virachandrapur. And that Virachandra, one of the things Govinda Maharaj, he said, and this almost inconceivable, Govinda Maharaj said, but Virachandra is even more liberal in his distribution of Krishna consciousness than his father, Nityananda Prabhu. He's more liberal, which is unimaginable, how someone could be more liberal than Nityananda Prabhu. But that's Virachandra. And anyway, one time I was with Srila Govinda Maharaj, and he told me, have you been to Ekachakra, he said. And I said, no. And he said, oh, you must go immediately. Or soon, like that. So within a day or two, and Charya Maharaj was going there, so I went with him there to that. And anyway, today, Divine Day, already 2:00. Appearance I don't want to fast till midnight, so that will come soon enough. That will come soon enough. So now maybe we just have some.
We have to do arati, actually.
What?
We have to do arati, yeah?
All right.
You want to let Pujari do some arati?
Who is the Pujari? Good. You were so good as a Pujari this morning. She.
right here. Okay. Oh, it's what we're going to
Jai.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda
Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Yasomati Nandana Yasomati Nandana Bhagavana Gokula Ranjana Gopi Paranadana Madhanu Manohara Madani Rajbogar Tiki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad, Hanumansapada Vijaka Charyasta Tara Sadhushi Shimad Srila Bhakti Nirmal Acharya Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad, Hanumansapada Vijaka Charyasta Tara Sadhushi Shimad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad, Hanumansapada Vijaka Charyasta Tara Sadhushi Shimad Srila Bhakti Raka Srila Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Rupanuga Guru Varga Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Bhattadash Raghunath Shat Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Prem Se Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Vishvavarenga Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Shri Chaitanya Saraswati Madhacharya Vrinda Ki Jai. Ananda Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Navadip Dham Ki Jai, Shri Mayapur Ki Jai, Saparshada Shri Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai, Saparshada Shri Mahaprabhu Ki Jai, Shri Gaurari Ki Jai, Shri Chaitanya Saraswati Mat Ki Jai, London Shri Chaitanya Saraswati Mat Ki Jai, Ganga Devi Ki Jai, Tulasi Maharani Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Shri Vrindavanam Ki Jai, Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Govardhan Sham Kuna Radha Kunda Kalindi Munuju Ki Jai, Shri Purushottam Madam Ki Jai, Baladev Subhadra Jagannath Ju Ki Jai, Bhakti Vigna Vinashaya Shri Nrsingadev Ki Jai, Bhakti Prabhara Shri Prahlad Maharaj Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. All the assembled devotees Ki Jai. Shripad Bhakti Kamal Tyagi Maharaj Ki Jai. Shripad Bhakti Rajan Madhusuda Maharaj Ki Jai. Shripad Bhakti Chaitanya Bharati Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Vishakha Devidasi Ki Jai. All the assembled devotees Ki Jai. Shri Baladeva Virva Mahotsav Ki Jai. The divine appearance of Baladev Ki Jai. Gaur Premanande. That was Saraswati.
She came back and said she's okay.
Huh?
She's okay. She's okay. No,
Is she back?
Yeah, she's back and no bruises or anything.
Does she have a concussion?
No.
She had a cut or what?
No cause.
No, probably.
Just a little.
A little
Just a
abrasion,
bump.
small
Yeah.
and a bump.
Is she okay? Yeah, she's okay and she's back.
I knew she would be, but just
Yeah.
as well she was
Yeah,
checked.
just double check.
She's strong cooking.
Where did that accident happen? Here in the temple?
Outside. Just here.
Oh, up there.
Yeah, absolutely, I don't know what happened exactly, I don't know how it happened. They looked a bit worried, I know that. That's
lighter.
See the one
Bigger
that-
one, this one.
Yeah.
Right?
Was it that one?
Bigger than this.
I think it was as big as, look,
Yeah,
not
it's
bigger
bigger
than
than
that.
that, yeah.
I think they removed it. I removed that way so we can